What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the End of the Chat Gaming Podcast, the gaming podcast where we get together every week and talk all things video games. I'm a little upset right now because we already started this. Okay, we started this about 20 minutes ago, and I was looking at the software, and I was like, it's not lighting up for Rico. And believe it or not, my OBS decided it was going to switch the default audio for desktop to something else. So all 20 minutes of what we just talked about has been since thrown out the window. Thrown out the window. So, I'm Kneeckoh. As always, I'm joined by my co-host, Rico.
Hi again.
Rico, how you doing?
I'm doing good.
Oh,
it sounded so painful when you asked me. It's like I already went through this shit.
Oh yeah, we're available on all podcast services. And you can check us out on YouTube if you like the video format. Rico, tell me about what games you're playing, and I'll act surprised.
Let's see. Let me recollect again.
My God,
when
man.
the fuck I played. I've been playing more of been playing more Metroid Dread. I think I'm close to the end. And like I said earlier, after playing through pretty much almost all of it, is definitely I think it's a serious contender for Game of the Year this year. Let's see. Started playing Smash Bros. Again, because Sora's dropped in Smash, and it's real. I pinched myself about 10 different times, didn't wake up, and I'm just like, it's not a mod, how real? What else? Played a little bit of Far Cry 6, haven't gotten too far into that, but so far so good. First Far Cry game I've dove into, and that's what's nice about the Far Cry games. They don't tie into each other, so you can start anywhere on your little zany island adventure overthrowing some sort of tyrannical government, because that's the Far Cry formula.
It is every single time. It never changes, and it's awesome.
Yep, it'll never change. And when it does, people will be up in arms about it, just like how they are with Assassin's Creed.
Yep,
because that's how it works. Let's see. Also, this past week, played some Back 4 Blood with you and one of our friends. Very nice game. Even though I've never played the Left 4 Dead games, it does give me those vibes, which I like very much, since never got a chance to play those, never had an Xbox. And then also started playing the new Demon Slayer game, which is also very nice. CC2 does good work with the anime games. I will say I like the Ultimate Ninja Store games a little bit more, just because of it's more over the top and insanity, but Demon Slayer is still very nice, very popular. I like. Anyway, what have you been playing, Kneeckoh?
Oh, fucking A. Well, as I said earlier, I haven't played Smash yet, because when I got my new Switch, I didn't update it, so I had to reinstall the game entirely. And I don't know if the DLCs are even installed yet, so I gotta do all that. So I haven't played Sora yet. I'm looking forward to playing Sora, but I haven't touched that yet. I don't even know if the DLCs are on my system. I have to reinstall them or if they're already there. So I'll have to check all that. And the DLC came out really late, so I didn't touch that. Then played some Far Cry. Had a good time. Still chipping away at it. I'm not super far. I've been so consumed by Dead by Daylight. And I guess we'll recover this for everybody, because we talked about the whole NFT thing, and Rico was like, I don't know what an NFT is. Can you explain it? And we just went through this whole fucking process like 10 minutes ago. But
you can at least,
we'll go back through.
I was going to say, if you want to save time, like now that I know what it is, you can sort of like skip that part of explaining what it is.
I'll explain it for anybody who might not know. Yeah, I'll explain for anybody who might not know. An NFT is basically a cryptocurrency that sells like digital media. So it could be a video, an image, a model, anything digital. And it's basically a receipt that says you own part of the right to it, but you don't actually own it. And they're really absurdly priced. They're bad for the environment and all that fun stuff. There's like money laundering and stuff involved with it. And that's all cryptos. It's not just NFTs, but it's a whole thing, right? Because I guess to make the NFTs, the code that they use, there's computers that are using a ton of processing power that are, using a ton of energy to make the mathematical equation that then sells the NFT, and that's using a ton of energy, which is obviously very bad for the environment. So the whole situation that happened was, Jesus Christ, here we go again. DBD partnered with Park Avenue to bring Hellraiser to DBD. We got Pinhead. He's the latest killer to the game. And there were rumors after all of this went down that there was going to be some form of DBD models that were being used as NFTs, and there would be exclusive content tied to it. DBD then came out and made a statement on Twitter that was like, hey, we hear these rumors. There is no exclusive content tied to anything sold outside of Dead by Daylight. And they said that when they work with a licensing partner, they give that partner models and game keys because it is their character and they can do whatever the fuck they want to do with their character. So then we found out later that the NFTs were real. And they came out with another statement and they said, hey, we worked with Park Avenue and Boss Protocols, the company selling the NFTs. And they said, hey, basically, the NFTs are real, and they said something along the lines of they're great partners to work with, which in my mind reads as a contractual obligation. Like, they had to say that shit in order to not get sued by Park Avenue. That's what it makes sense to me. Now, the DBD community is very up in arms about all of this because of the environmental effects and blah, blah, blah. Everybody doesn't like NFTs, and I also do not support NFTs. I think they're stupid. I think it's a waste of your money. But they're very up in arms. They're saying boycott, don't buy the Hellraiser, whatever. And to me, it's all just very silly because we've only got 2 tweets. We don't know what the hell the contract was like. We don't know anything behind the scenes. And then we don't know, what actually happened on the behavior side of things, the developer of DBD, because all the devs acted like this was very much a surprise. All the devs tweeted out, were like, we don't like this. We didn't know this was a thing. So it seems like it was somebody up at the higher level that was behind this, that signed on the dotted line and was like, this is what's fucking happening. And it doesn't seem like a lot of the devs had any fucking clue that this was going on, but people are still outraged and they're going off the deep end over this whole thing. And to me, it's just very silly because all we have are 2 tweets. We don't know a whole lot, right? And I like to base my opinions on some factual evidence, and only having 2 tweets on the internet doesn't actually support anything because you don't have any of the background information. And if you pay attention to all of it and you follow the trail, they said that they give the license holders models and everything and game keys to use because it's their character and they can do whatever they want. Well, Park Avenue is the current license holder for Hellraiser. However, they're losing the rights to Hellraiser come December, I think. So it seems to me that, they gave them the models and they were like, here you go, here's your models and game keys. And then Park Avenue was like, we're going to sell these as NFTs with Boss Protocol because we're losing the license. We need to make a quick buck before we lose the rights to this character. And that's just what it seems like to me, because if you buy the NFTs, there's a chance that you get the DLC and Dead by Daylight, which is silly to me because the NFTs are like $250 and you could just buy the fucking DLC for $5. So it all is very, very silly to me. And I just think, like, obviously they didn't say in the original tweet that they were working on the NFTs, and I don't know if that was like the Twitter, the media community or whatever it is, was, like, oh, we don't know this information yet, so we can't actually put this in the tweet, or if they did know and like it was a whole thing. We don't know, but they did not disclose in the original tweet that they were working with the NFTs. So people are saying boycott. It's within your right. If you want to boycott, do it. If you want to refund, I think that's fair because they didn't disclose the information. So I think that's fair and they should offer refunds. But ultimately, I personally am not going to be boycotting DBD. I'm still playing DBD a fuck ton, covering it on my main channel, doing all that stuff. Now that all that silliness is aside, a lot of people that are higher up in the community called Fog Whisperers have said that it seems, because they are higher up and they can see more than what just the normal fans can see, they have said that it does not seem like they are going to be following this trend. It said they heard us loud and fucking clear. So it doesn't seem like this is going to be something that we have to worry about again in the future, which is a good sign. But in terms of like other DBD stuff, their new Survivor dropped, super fun. There's a couple bugs, so the community is up in arms about all that crap. Community is up in arms about that. It doesn't make sense because games drop with bugs. They gotta fix stuff. It's how it works, especially with the games that are old code stacked on top of old, like new code on top of old code. There's gonna be some issues. That's just how it works. So it doesn't make sense to me to get pissed off about that, because now they've activated this kill switch. They added it in the latest patch where they can shut stuff off, so that way they don't have to wait till the next patch cycle to remove whatever's broken. They can just turn it off and you can keep playing the game without the broken stuff, which I think is a nice feature. And then we had the Halloween event start today. On top of that, God, there's so much to cover that we went through already. For Honor is having a DBD crossover event in DBD. There's not a whole lot going on. You just get like a little charm with a For Honor helmet. There'll be a code drop tomorrow for that. I'll probably have it on my main channel if you want to know it, if you play DBD. But they brought the Trapper into For Honor for like a special Halloween event, and he's not on any particular team. He just goes after whoever gets near him, and I think it's really cool. It's a really odd crossover event, and I got For Honor installing on Game Pass because I want to check it out. I'm keen on seeing what that's all about. I'll probably get my ass kicked by the Trapper, but it's worth checking out.
Very curious.
Very curious. And then finally, the last DBD stuff is they're actually doing a Halloween event, obviously, and you can get the game half off, and you can get a lot of the DLCs on sale, and they're doing free weekends, so check it out if you're interested in that. But yeah, then there's my little tangent about DBD, because I've been playing DBD, but I've also been playing Back 4 Blood, like Rico said, and it's fun. I didn't play the original Left 4 Dead. It reminds me of Call of Duty Zombies. That's what it reminds me of, because that's the only thing I really have to compare it to. And we were talking while we were playing about the price point of it, because I didn't know the price point because I got it for free on Game Pass. But I found out it was $60, and I was like, I personally think this is worth $60. I would spend $60 to go to an amusement park with my friends. So for me, spending $60 to get a couple weeks out of Back 4 Blood with some friends sounds like a good time to me. And that's just my stance.
Yeah.
And we were talking, there's a lot of people that are saying like games just shouldn't be $60, like certain games. I've seen that a lot about Metroid Dread.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, people were saying like Metroid Dread is just like a glorified indie game. I was like, excuse me, one of the biggest Nintendo franchises that hasn't had a game in like what 20. Well, in this series, and then Prime is a completely different entry. You get the whole spiel if you follow Metroid. But it first like mainline Metroid game in fucking almost 20 years, I think. And it's like,
and on top of that, it's in the running for Game of the Year.
Yeah, like legit. You play through that game, and I seriously think is like this could honestly be Game of the Year.
And that's the thing I don't get is like, people are saying it's not worth $60, but like we haven't had like a serious contender for Game of the Year out of Nintendo since Breath of the Wild and Mario Odyssey. So like, right. I don't think you can look at a game that's in the running for Game of the Year for so many people and be like, this is not worth $60. I think the game looks freaking awesome. I still haven't bought it, but it looks freaking awesome. So I don't know. I think there's just this weird conception of what $60 is worth for a game, and ultimately it comes down to whoever the fuck is spending the money. That's where it counts.
Or even with like, I've seen a lot of debate over like indie games too as well. Like people think like whenever a new indie game comes out, people sort of see the price and like, for example, say Kena, that's a $40 game, and I'm pretty sure I saw people debating and saying like, is it really worth like $40? I mean, it is an indie game, and it's like, are indie games not worthy of a somewhat higher price point if the work's been put in? Because you gotta remember, people gotta make their money back after all the time and resources they put into making this stuff. And sometimes it's not even like a big company or a lot of people. It's just a small group that makes these indie games and stuff like that.
And ultimately, it was like I was saying, the money value of a game comes down to each individual person. It comes down to each person, because it depends on your interest in the game, how much time you're actually going to put into the game, all that stuff. Like, some people would probably be okay with spending $60 for Apex Legends. Some people would be like, yeah, that makes sense because this game is really good. It's what I'm looking for out of a game. You know, it's that kind of thing. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So what is worth $60 is subjective.
Right.
It's weird. It's just like, a weird situation.
Yeah, it's like, I just don't get, it's like, we've been like, why is it suddenly now like a big debate? Like, we've been paying $60 for games for how many years now, and I have not seen like as many complaints as I do nowadays.
Yeah, it just doesn't make sense to me at all. I think people anymore, just because they have social media and they have a place to complain about things, just feel like they need to complain in order to like try and get clicks or likes or whatever it may be. It's just weird. And then like those vocal minority that get on social media and complain about stuff, like when they do get those likes, they start like these little cult followings that like, oh, everything's bad and we all gotta like bring everything down. It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. If you don't think something's worth $60, don't spend $60 on it and move on with your life.
Yeah,
like that's my thought.
Like, I've never seen, like, for example, I've never seen people complain. I want to say there's more to Metroid Dread than there is to, like, not current but older Pokemon games. But I've never seen people complain about price tags for Pokemon games. I'm not complaining either. I'm just making a comparison, saying like, okay, why are you up in arms about this all of a sudden, but you've been okay with this for so long?
The Pokemon example might not be a strong one, because when Sword and Shield came out, the amount of shit I saw about those tree textures when that game came out, I mean, come on, like people were up in arms about Sword and Shield. They're like, wow, we're paying $60 for 3DS graphics. I was like, Jesus Christ, people shut up.
I was mainly referring to like the older games, like more DS era games, not so much the last one we just had. Like yeah, Sword and Shield, like yeah, that's the first like you could pretty much say console Pokemon game we've ever gotten, almost open world-esque. So that one's definitely worth the $60. Fuck your tree textures, get over it.
Yeah, that was my thing when the game dropped. Everybody was bitching about tree textures. I'm like, who the fuck is standing in the wild area just staring at trees? I was busy catching Pokemon, doing raids.
It also kind of reminds me, not so much related to the price point, but so much more so of like people randomly bitching about stupid stuff in games. I saw someone like tweet about like a complaint how like in God of War, when you're swinging at trees, the trees do nothing. Your axe just goes through the trees and there's no like reaction from the environment. I'm just like, who the fuck cares? What are you now Kratos, god of trees, and you're just, or like Kratos the lumberjack, and you're mad that you can't chop down your trees? What the
exactly.
Fuck! You're Kratos, the god of war. You want a reaction when you're swinging your axe around? Go fight the fucking enemies like you're supposed to. You can slay fucking anything.
Well, I saw the same thing about Halo, the new Halo, when they shot the tire, like the tire just kind of like disappeared instead of like deflating. And I was just like, who the fuck cares? You're going to be so worried about what that person's doing after they get out of the vehicle. Why are you worried about whether or not the tire had an animation? Like, who genuinely gives a shit about that stuff? I'm not paying that much attention. I'm trying to kill people.
Yeah, exactly.
It just does. It's just silly. It's just silliness.
I kind of blame games like GTA 5 and like Red Dead Redemption and stuff like that has like so much detail in them that it's literally like spoiled people to now where they expect it from these big AAA games.
I don't know. Every game's different. That's my thing.
Yes.
Every game's different. If you don't like it, don't buy it. That's how easy this is.
I was gonna say, like, not. It's basically this. You want to be able to chop down a tree? Well, let me tell you this. Go to Walmart, you buy an axe, and then you're going to go out to your backyard. You're going to look at that giant tall oak tree that's been in your backyard since you've been a wee child, and you're going to chop it down your fucking self. Touch grass, damn it.
It's just so bizarre. But anyways, let's move on here. Let's move on. In terms of news,
let's move on before I kill someone.
There's not a whole lot going on in terms of news. There is some cool stuff for Pokemon. There is some stuff to talk about in that regard. Before we get into like the new reveals and all the nitty gritty of that, there is a distribution event for Pokemon this week, if anybody is unaware. At GameStop, I don't know if you have to take your game or not, so that's something to note. I don't know if you got to take your game, but at GameStop, they are distributing Shiny Zacian and Shiny Zamazenta from October 22nd to sometime in November. And those
Pokemon those are
the legendary dogs from Sword and Shield.
Okay.
The box art legends, yeah. But those they were previously shiny locked, so there was no way to get them legitly as a shiny. But now you can get them. This was previously announced in Korea like a month ago, and everybody was like pissed off. They were like, "Oh my gosh, if this doesn't come to the United States, it was gonna come to the fucking United States." Okay, it was gonna come to the United States.
Yeah.
Everybody was gonna get this. But it's available starting tomorrow. By probably the day this episode of the podcast goes up, it will be available. So be sure to go and do that. Like I said, I don't know if you need your Switch or not, so I just take it just in case. I don't know if they're just giving out like a code that you can use, but you should get Shiny Zamazenta in Sword and Shiny Zacian in Shield, if I'm remembering correctly. So if you have both games, that's the only way to get both Pokemon. So that's something to note as well. But pretty cool. I'm really excited because, like I said, those were previously unavailable, and they've been doing a lot of distributions lately. They just did with the tie into the Netflix movie. You could get Zarude with the scarf as well as Shiny Celebi, and I made sure to grab those. So pretty cool stuff. Pretty cool stuff. I'm pretty happy with all the Pokemon stuff, but they did do a little teaser for Legends Arceus. So a couple days ago, we got this like glitchy, weird trailer, and it sounded like a research. This is something I need to talk about first. Okay, they said it's a recording from the Hisui region. A recording from the fucking Hisui region. This is supposed to be feudal times. Why do they have such advanced technology? It's not even like it's a Rotom, right? They showed off the Arc phone. Why the fuck? Why the fuck is there a phone? The phone. Why is there a phone? This is supposed to be ancient times.
Just imagine if it's not really like ancient times and really this was like a couple months ago and Arceus just decided to like rewrite the world to make it modern for whatever reason.
It's so weird.
Arceus was just
so
like,
weird.
this shit's kind of boring. I want to see fucking cars.
So yeah, we literally have to craft our own Pokeballs, and there's no, and they're not normal. They're not normal Pokeballs. They're made of like wood. You can see it in the picture, but we have a fucking cell phone. We have a cell phone.
The researcher is like, I'm going to see if I can capture a Pokemon on this strange device.
Yeah, but anyways,
camera.
So they showed off this recording from the Hisui region, which is weird in its own right. Weird in its own right. There's a recording from feudal region. Yeah, they do whatever the fuck they want. And it was all staticky. You couldn't really see anything but like red eyes. That was the only thing you could see. And then today they released a trailer that was like they fixed the footage. The footage is visible now. You're able to see what the fuck's going on. And we got a new Hisuian form. And it's Zorora. It's right. Is that what it's? Zoru? I don't know what the pre-evolution's called, but it's Zoroark from Gen 5. It's getting a Hisui form, and it looks pretty cool. It's like white instead of the black coloration that it had in Gen 5.
Zora and Zora and Zoroark.
And let me tell you, okay, I'm excited for this as someone who plays competitive Pokemon because it's a ghost normal type, which is the strongest competitive typing. It's the strongest competitive typing, and it's the first Pokemon to have this typing, and it's very, very cool. So if they don't let me bring in my Hisui Pokemon into the other games, I'm going to be very fucking pissed off. Yep, it's the only Pokemon of this typing, and it's the strongest competitive typing to exist in Pokemon, and I am very keen on this Pokemon. Because the reason it's so strong is because Ghost type doesn't affect normal.
Normal, interesting.
Ghost doesn't affect normal.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking that Psychic and Dark should be its only weaknesses, if I'm thinking correctly. I could be wrong. I could be like screwing this up, but I know for sure Dark is correct. But it maybe Psychic. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know for certain, but yeah, it's a very strong competitive typing, and everybody is very excited for it. At least in the competitive Pokemon community. It's super cool. It looks really cool. It looks very different. Also, the evolution looks very different from Zoroark. And I don't know if it's a Hisuian Zoroark, if it's just a new Pokemon entirely. Like, I didn't watch the trailer. I just saw, like, images and stuff. And I don't know if it's a different Pokemon because it looks so dramatically different. So I don't know if it's, like, going to be its own thing, kind of like the Zoroark, whatever the evolution is. I don't know if it's going to be its own unique thing. Like I don't know if they showed it in the trailer. Because, like, I'm trying to think of an example. Like, I'm saying, like, if Hisuian Zora evolves into something different. Kind of like, I'm trying to think of an example of...
No, it'll evolve into Zoroark.
It might. I'm not disagreeing, but I'm trying to think. There's got to be one. There's got to be one.
Well, it's just like it wouldn't like really make sense to just have like normal Zora that goes into Zoroark, but then have these Hisuian region variants that for whatever reason, the Zora doesn't evolve into Zoroark. I feel like that'd just be confusing.
Okay, I'm gonna agree now that I'm thinking because I can't find an example. I think it will evolve into a Hisuian Zoroark, but if I'm thinking because like they've only done new forms for Pokemon that didn't previously have evolution. So if you look at like Sirfetch'd, Farfetch'd didn't have an evolution. If you look at Linoon into Obstagoon, Linoon never had an evolution. So I think I'm more on your side now that I'm looking at it. That makes sense. But I was thinking like, well, sometimes they do branching evolutions with certain, but that's usually only with Pokemon that don't have an evolution. Kind of like I'm thinking we're gonna get a Hisuian Stantler that evolves into Wordier.
I was gonna say like with the, I would say the other example would be like the Galarian Farfetch and Sirfetch.
Yeah, but those I don't think Farfetch never had a previous evolution.
Oh yeah. Now I see. Never had a previous evolution. I got you.
Yeah, in its Cantonian form, it didn't have an evolution
in general.
Yeah, it didn't have an evolution. Much like Linoon never had an evolution, and then they gave it Obstagoon in the Galarian form. So that's, I think you're right. I think it is going to be a Hisuian Zoroark. But regardless of that, cool typing, cool Pokemon design. Yeah, it wouldn't. Now that I've thought about it, it wouldn't make sense.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Zoroark looks like it got into too much of the Dove hair conditioner.
Yeah, it looks like it's been to the salon a couple of times.
Yeah, a couple of times. I don't know why, but when I saw it and I saw like the little bang, for some reason I thought like Prince, because it just made me think of a perm.
Yeah, I like it, and this is what I want out of freaking Legends Arceus. I don't want new Pokemon, quote unquote. I want new evolutions or like new variations. Wait, okay, hold on. Time out. Now I'm confused, okay? Because if you think about it, Scyther's getting a new evolution. And Scyther already has an evolution. Yes. So my thought is this could definitely be a different Pokemon. That's my thought. Because we don't know if this is a Hisuian Scyther yet or not. We just know that Scyther evolves into whatever. I don't remember what it's called. Is it like Boldor? No, it's not Boldor. That's already a Pokemon. What is it called?
I think it's gonna be. I can't even remember. But I think it's like axe something. It's something centered around the fucking axe hands it has. But I think it's gonna be. I think it's like the Scyther thing is gonna be just like Stantler. It's a normal Scyther. But because of the different settings and times that it's in, that's why it has this evolution as opposed to evolving into Scizor.
I don't know. So I think it's weird. It's weird. The way they're doing some of these regionals is so odd. It's possible. It's possible. I don't know.
Well, you gotta think like with these Pokemon that have had like new evolutions and stuff like that. They if it's a new evolution, they just show the new evolution. But with this, they showed like it's completely new, like regional version evolution line with Zora and Zoroark, where both versions are, Hisuian variants.
Yeah, I don't know. It's confusing. It's confusing. But this is what I want. I want new Pokemon.
Yeah,
I want like regionals. I don't need necessarily like brand new Pokemon. I want like just new evolutions and regional forms to.
Hold up. I just realized we have a Hisuian Growlithe, but we haven't seen like its Hisuian Arcanine form yet. I completely forgot about that. Holy shit.
Yeah, that's coming. That's coming down the pipeline. That's gonna be awesome.
So that'd be probably like the closest comparison to like what this Zora and Zoroark is then.
Yes, that would. As of right now, yes, that would be the closest comparison. Okay, hold on. Time out. Time the fuck out. I figured it out. I found one. That is a similar case, okay? So, Galarian Meowth does not evolve into Persian. It evolves into Berserker.
Oh, yeah.
So there's definitely a chance. There's definitely a chance that this, whatever, Hisuian Zora, or however the fuck you say its name, evolves into a different Pokemon.
Hold on, wait. There's one definitive way to find out.
Twitter. Oh yeah, is that right?
And
I found one. I was like, I know there's one. I know there is one of these Pokemon that evolves into something different. Oh, another one. I got it. Hold on, another one in Galar. Galarian Yonmask evolves into Runerigus instead of Cofagrigus. There's another one right there.
let's see.
So it's definitely in the cards now. Now that I've found a couple examples.
Oh, it actually isn't, because I'm on the official Pokemon YouTube channel, and I'm looking in the description of like the trailer of the reveal, and they do refer to it as Hisuian Zora and Hisuian Zorark.
Okay, so it's confirmed. This is confusing.
It's confirmed.
So confusing.
You were like doing all kinds of research. Like, hold on, is this the case?
It's weird. It's all so weird.
Time out.
It's weird. But I'm gonna ask this question. I'm gonna propose it because we're getting pretty close to release date. What's your hype level for Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl?
I wouldn't say like super insane hype, like, you know, as I would get for any like new mainline entry Pokemon game, because for the most part it is like just one for one, you know, Pokemon Diamond and Pearl, but just new coat of paint, reworked mechanics and some new stuff, but nothing like overly insane from what I've seen so far. But still like pretty excited because like Diamond, I'm pretty sure Pokemon Diamond was the first like Pokemon mainline game that I ever played through to completion. It's not the first Pokemon game I ever played. That would go to Pokemon Sapphire, but I never beat that because I was a dumb little child who didn't know what to do to get to the 8th gym leader. But Pokemon Diamond was like the first Pokemon game I ever played through to completion. It's probably my favorite gen. Has my favorite starter / Pokemon of all time, basically. No, I'd say probably like starter. There could be some debate on Pokemon of all time, really. But yeah, favorite starter of all time. So I'm excited to get my little monkey boy back. So I'd say it's like decently up there, but not to where I'm like, you know, like at the edge of my seat, just counting down the days for it to come out.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it a lot. I'm really excited to hop in and play it. Like I said last week, I'm really glad that I'm not covering Pokemon content-wise anymore, just because I can just sit and enjoy the game and do shiny hunts and do whatever I want whenever I want, instead of like being like, okay, now I need to get a new competitive team made for a new video, or I need to record competitive out. I could just do everything at my own pace. Right. And I'm excited about, and I'm excited to go back because this was the first Pokemon game that I ever played. So I'm excited to go back and re-experience it, especially with the new coat of paint. In terms of when I think the next game is, next year. I think next year we get Gen 9.
Yeah. Either next year we get Gen 9. I feel like it depends on how much they plan on supporting Legends Arceus after it comes out. Because even though it's not a mainline Pokemon game, it's definitely one that they're planning on being like a big new entry. Possibly big enough to where we get like even more Pokemon Legends games in the future. So I think you're right.
I think they are going to support it, but I think it's going to be its own thing, because at the end of the day, Legends Arceus, they've already shown us, doesn't have the same battling mechanics as their competitive Pokemon scene. So they need to have it, like, people aren't going to sit on Sword and Shield forever. So they, in my opinion, they need to get a new game out to keep the VGC stuff fresh.
Right. Which, you know, whenever new Pokemon, it's kind of interesting because so far we haven't seen any like rumors or anything yet about the next mainline game, but I feel like we will once we start getting into next year at some point. Because I think got all those possible rumors and leaks of what the starters will be, and it's fun time, fun time, and everybody can complain about the design of the starters again.
What I think happened was I think COVID pushed the Diamond and Pearl remakes back. I think we were supposed to get Diamond and Pearl remakes earlier this year, and then
Legends Arceus,
and then we were supposed to get Legends
holiday.
And then Gen 9, and it would be less condensed like it is right now.
Right. Like, COVID definitely, like, you can sort of tell from like how stuff is releasing, definitely changed up a lot of what companies like Nintendo, Xbox, Sony had planned in terms of when and what they're going to release.
Yeah, that's my theory, just because it's kind of weird that we got the 2 DLCs, and the last DLC that we got for Sword and Shield came out last like September or October, and then it's been a year,
Right.
and now we're getting Diamond and Pearl remakes that aren't going to be the new like VGC games, which is weird. And then we get Legends Arceus 2 months later. Like, for me, I just think there was a date that was pushed back because of it all.
Yeah, definitely so. And like the VGC, I feel like the reason they decided not to make it the next like VGC game is because since it's like a remake. Because did they do that with games like Heart Gold and Soul Silver, or no, more so like Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire
Yes,
games
Omega
like
Ruby
that,
Alpha
basically?
Sapphire did have competitive for a while.
Huh.
Because you could transfer everything from
Inter-
X and Y into Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire. But you can't trade everything from Sword and Shield into Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl.
Interesting. I think I feel like the main reason for that is because this is just a 1-for-1 remake where uh Alpha Sapphire and Omega Ruby like added some more drastic new stuff, like in terms of, I think the story changed up a little bit, and then you have like the primal evolutions for the legendaries, which were basically mega evolutions still. So maybe that's why, because it still kept the mega evolution mechanic around, which was still in the VGC at the time.
I think
That's why it
I think
stayed
it's definitely
competitive.
true. I don't think they were ever planning on BDSP being the new competitive game, but I think it further supports the idea that they were going to, because they said that BDSP has Pokemon Home support, which leads me to believe that at some point those Pokemon are coming into Sword and Shield, right? So that leads me to
Yeah.
believe that this was delayed and was supposed to come out like maybe March this year. And then they would have been able to change up the formula by adding the BDSP Pokemon into Sword and Shield and be able to change up the VGC content in that way, because the last couple VGCs series, the rule sets, there's been a couple repeats already. So my thought is that they, just because of the delay, they didn't have a plan for what the hell the rule sets were going to be if they couldn't get those Pokemon into Sword and Shield, which is why we're having repeats and rule sets.
Yeah, that makes sense. Now I'm kind of worrying, and I know this wouldn't make sense, but it'd be kind of interesting. We're getting like a lot of Sinnoh stuff with both Legends Arceus and Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, and then like you said, like with the whole transfer thing, being what Pokemon you're able to transfer. Basically, a lot of like Sinnoh support. So I feel like this would be kind of interesting, but would it make sense? But what if like the next mainline game sort of like, I don't know, somehow gets the Sinnoh like region more involved somehow. Like it's still like a new region, you got your new Pokemon, but for whatever reason, like the Sinnoh stuff is still like prominent in it. I don't know. I'm kind of rambling here, but it's just a thought I had.
Here's what I'd like to see them do. Rather than do like a new game, like continue Gen 8 longer, right? So do your remake, do your traditional remake, and I think at this point they're going to do more 1-for-1 remakes. Like I think Black and White is going to be a tradition, like a chibi style remake. I think they're going to continue that going forward.
That.
And then rather than give us a whole new region, take us back to another region, get us hype with BDSP, right? And then be like, hey, we're going back to Sinnoh, but this is a different era of Sinnoh. We're not telling the same story. We're telling a new story. There will be different Pokemon. Like, your starters are different. Because I really like what they're doing with Legends Arceus, where they're mixing up what we get. Like, with Rowlet, Cyndaquil, and Oshawott, where they're changing. And, like, just do that in a region we're familiar with in modern times. And then make that, like, the gap closer game for that generation. So, like, we bring in all the Sword and Shield Pokemon, and that game would be the definitive game for that generation that has the National Pokedex, has all the Pokemon, and then that would be the VGC game until the next game came out, and then boom, they keep that trend, because that would explain the whole like no National Dex and Sword and Shield situation, where they get you excited with the new Pokemon, you have a limited Pokedex, and then they give us the new definitive game for that gen. We move all the Pokemon into there, and then we would get excited for whatever the next generation is going to be. That would be a much cooler way, because they have so many fucking Pokemon at this point. Like, we're getting close to 1,000 Pokemon, so it's almost like you need to just slow your roll and keep your generations going longer. And by doing an additional game each generation that just tells a new story in a region we're familiar with, that could keep you going a lot longer without having to necessarily add new Pokemon.
Right. I definitely feel like Sword and Shield was kind of like the beginning of this, but I feel like we're sort of like on the cusp. I don't know like what it'll be yet, but of like Pokemon changing in some sort of big way in terms of the normal formula and how they, do these games. I feel like we're right on the edge of like them deciding to do something very different.
If it's not Gen 9, it'll be Gen 10, but they'll step away from the traditional routes very quickly, I feel. And the routes will turn into wild areas. We'll have our main cities where we go and do like our gym battles and stuff, but the whole game will be a wild area situation.
Right. I mean, you can already tell they've definitely changed up in terms like the gym battle situation because Sun and Moon, it wasn't even gym battles. It was I forget what they were called.
Island trials.
Yeah, the island trials. We had that instead of gym battles, and then through that they established their own Pokemon League and Elite Four. But that was the thing; that was their first time establishing it. And then with Sword and Shield, it wasn't so much gyms really, but it was a actual Pokemon League, like almost like an actual like sports league, really. And that was kind of different.
What I'd like to see is if it's not Gen 9 and Gen 9 still has like the traditional route system, if whatever gen they decide to finally make the move into like all wild area like they did with the Isle of Armor and the Crown Tundra, I want to see a more open world experience where like double the amount of gyms that we have, like put in like 16 gyms, but you don't have to do all of the gyms in order to go to the Elite Four. You have to do 8, and you go through the open world area and you pick and choose which gyms you want to do. And then you're able to go and do the Elite Four. That would give the game a ton of replay value because then you could go back in, or maybe that would give you a reason to buy both versions of the game because you could do half of the gyms in the one version and then half in the other version, you know what I mean? And then you get the full experience and then you go to the Elite Four and do your thing. That would be really, really cool to me. It would be like refreshing for the gym system without having to revamp the gym system.
I have like one kind of like cool idea, and this would be like if they were doing like a big celebration of Pokemon, like whenever like this whatever game they decided to do this for on, maybe it's like a big anniversary for Pokemon or something like that. Like that idea and kind of pick, there's like 16 gyms, you beat 8 that you can challenge that region's Elite Four and champion. You got that. But then add in like the incentive, like, oh, but if you beat all the gyms and you've beaten your Elite Four and champions, then you could challenge this gauntlet, almost like an Elite Four style gauntlet of champions from previous games.
That'd be cool.
That would be very cool. And then
there's a lot of things that they could do with the gym system that they could revamp it without really revamping it. Like they could just put a fresh coat of paint on it and then people would be like, this is cool.
Yeah, basically. Like any way that they change it, I'm sure people like actually pretty much enjoyed the island trials when those first became a thing, just because it was something different from like the usual formula. I feel like that's the reason why like I personally like Sun and Moon, a little bit more than some other games aside from like Pokemon Diamond, just because it was different from like it strayed away from the usual Pokemon formula.
It was fun, and those I liked that little variation, so I'd like to see them continue on that. But I definitely think with the DLCs that we got, the introduction of the wild area, and Legends Arceus, they're trying to move toward a more open world experience.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like I won't be surprised if by like either next game or Gen 10 we get completely full open world Pokemon. We see it with we see that they've tried it out a little bit with Sword and Shield, and they're also, even though it's a completely different style game from the mainline games, also kind of trying it with the Pokemon Legends Arceus. So they're definitely getting into it bit by bit.
Yeah, it's exciting. In other Pokemon news, Pokemon Unite got a new character. Greedent was added with the Halloween event today or yesterday, one of the two. The Halloween event came out and Greedent dropped with it, and pretty cool. I have not played it. I've not played Pokemon Unite
Yeah,
since the mobile release came out.
I was say I haven't played Pokemon Unite in quite a while ago. I don't even remember when the last time I picked it up was, and it's kind of weird because I don't like see it like pop up much on my feed in terms of like news or anything like that. So I'm even though I don't like play it as much as like we did when it first initially came out, I don't want this game to quite like die out yet. I don't think it will, but I don't want it to quite die out.
I think it's got a strong following. I see it a lot in my feed. I also follow a lot of Pokemon YouTubers and stuff, but I don't think it's dying. It's just there's been a lot of bugs. Like every time they release a new character or something, there's been a lot of issues. That's kind of why I fell off, because like Crustle and Lucario got like so overpowered that you couldn't play the game. So I just kind of fell off because of that, and I just haven't gone back to it. But there was a huge patch that came out with the latest update, and they did a bunch of changes. The biggest change that they've done, like Zapdos got nerfed, a bunch of stuff changed. So it seems there's still a lot of support, and a lot of people are really excited with this game. I just don't really, at this time, feel an urge to go back to it.
Right, like saying like I'm sure like, as time goes on, they're gonna release like those one or two Pokemon that I'm just gonna like be sitting in my back of my seat. I see those Pokemon, I'm just be like, hmm?
They released the
then
Sora
that's
version
gonna
for Pokemon Unite.
Yeah, and which for me would be Infernape. If they drop
Yeah.
Infernape and Unite, yep, I'll be diving back in.
Yeah, and that's what it's gonna take for some people.
$60, you take 80.
Because I need all the skins too.
Give me my fire monkey. Give me the fire monkey.
Oh man. But yeah, lots of stuff going on. If you're a Pokemon fan, a lot of cool games are about to start dropping. It's gonna get real interesting real quick. A lot of games are gonna start dropping here soon.
Coming up.
Yeah, and I'm sure the
coming up,
consoles
I
are going to be
think.
more available in stores. I saw that GameStop did a PlayStation 5 drop.
Yep, GameStop. A bunch of stores are going to start having their Black Friday events soon, which those are definitely going to have consoles. So just be on the lookout. And then also, there's I forget where it is but on PlayStation's site, starting in November, not starting in November. Right now, you can sign up to get an email invite sometime in November. I don't think there's a guarantee, but when available, you can get an email invite to purchase a PS5. And basically, if you get that email invite, it's basically a guaranteed PS5 as long as you go in, put in your information, give them that little plastic card number that just takes away a little bit of your soul, but then rejuvenates it with the glory of a PS5, that whole spiel.
Yeah. So yeah, if you haven't got your next gen console, now is definitely a good time to keep your eye out.
To be very much available.
Yes, exactly. But I think that pretty much wraps up this episode because it was kind of a slow week in terms of stuff. Thank you all for joining us. If you want to keep up with us, Rico says follow the Enter the Chat social medias. If you want to keep up with me, you can follow me on Twitch at Kneeckoh Gaming. You can follow me on my main channel, Kneeckoh Gaming, TikTok, all that fun stuff where I play DBD a lot. So go check that out if that's something that interests you. But thank you all for hopping in. Thank you for entering the chat, and we'll catch you in the next one.
Now the question is, were you recording this time?
I was.